Welcome back to part 2 of our live training session here with our 2011 Evo 10 MR. Now, the last tutorial we focused on our base map creation. This tutorial we're going to learn how to upload that calibration file to our ECU. Then we're going to go and get our engine to fire off and run and start our calibration process, making sure that we have our fuel and spark timing adjusted properly for idle and cruising conditions. This is going to allow us to move forward then into full throttle tuning as we go into looking at other tutorials here in our live training course. We're gonna have a lot to cover for this tutorial. Let's jump in so we can check this out.
Welcome back to our live training session here with our Evo 10 MR. Now, the last tutorial, we built our base file. This tutorial, we're gonna go and flash it to the vehicle, get our engine to fire off and run, and start our calibration process for idle and part throttle. We're gonna worry about wide open throttle tuning later, boost control later, flex fuel later. We need to get the basics down, so we need to make sure the engine can fire up, hold its own idle, the fuel trims are in line, and we have our load registration being tracked properly. That's super important with an MR, with the SST transmission. We need to make sure the load is reasonable. There's specific range of load we're going to expect at idle, and even the transition point going in from vacuum to boost, there's going to be some things we want to take a look at. If things aren't falling in line, then we need to make some tweaks and adjustments in our MAP table or our map calcs, depending on what things are looking like, where the load calcs are going to be coming from and how everything's going to be balanced within the relationship between those calcs. We'll talk about that a little bit later here in the tutorial, but right now we need to go and upload this file. So we're going to upload the file first, jump into Evo Scan, get everything set up in there. We're going to start to fire off the engine, data log everything, and then learn how we can make our changes. This is a relatively straightforward process as long as you're looking for a couple key markers when you're going in and you're getting your engine to fire off and run. So let's talk about flashing our file first. So I have my Tactrix 2.0 cable plugged into my OBD2 port, which is plugged into my laptop. We can see down here at the bottom, we can find the status of that. It's finding my open port 2.0 USB cable. If the cable isn't plugged into your laptop, it won't show this down here on the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Now I do have the ignition key powered on. I'm all ready to go ahead and flash the file. I have not done any modification to the base map between filming, so what we've built in the last video is exactly what we're uploading here, and we're going to test it out and see how everything's going to go, and again make those changes as we're going through here. So I'm going to jump up to the top. We have a write button here. If we go all the way to the top here, this is going to write or flash the file to the ECU. So that's what we're going to do. Before we do that, I am going to save this as a different name. This is saved as base map right now. We're going to keep that as the actual base map file. Let's go to save ROM as, and in this case, we're going to call this idle-cruise tuning, so we can keep this as a separate file when in our tuning process. So if I want to go and step back to the base map and essentially bypass anything I'm doing in this tutorial, let's say I'm not happy how things are turning out, then I can go back and refer back to my base map. Just the same way we didn't save on top of the original file that Tefrit sent from the email, I like to go and save my files in order of how I'm kind of doing things, so I have a way that I can step forward or backwards in the calibration process. So right now I'm going to go ahead and click save, and we can see it's our new name here, Idle Cruise Tuning. Let's go up here and write the file. So I have the key on, the engine's off. We simply click write. This only takes a little bit of time here. So our ignition key's on here, we'll click OK. And we can see down at the bottom, it's gonna start to load and flash the file. So we're gonna be doing this quite a few times through the calibration process here, dialing everything in. So we're gonna let this complete the process. It takes about a minute to do the flash, not too long. Again, we don't wanna go and turn off the ignition key or disrupt the flash process in any way. So make sure that you're gonna be patient and allow it to finish flashing. We can see again that status down here at the bottom, what it's going to be doing here. We are almost complete. As soon as this completes, we'll go into our Evo Scan and take a look at the setup there. And we should be here any minute now. It should be able to finish up the flash state. Now this is a complete write, so I'm writing a whole new file, so it takes a little bit more time if we change a small bit of information. Sometimes it flashes faster. This is an entire calibration file change. So what was in the ECU's memory is now being replaced, and it's a lot of information that's being changed and streamed. Okay, so we can see that has completed. We can see that it's telling us we can turn our ignition key off if we're done flashing. We're not going to turn the ignition key off right now. Let's click OK. Let's jump into Evo Scan. Evo Scan is what we use for data logging for our Evos. Now, in here, we're going to couple specific things I want to talk about. You want to make sure under logging here that you have disabled multi-threading. That improves your logging stability and the fluidity of your logging. We also want to make sure, if we go down here a little bit further, I have checked on imperial units. This will go and display units of mile per hour in Fahrenheit. So some information right here we want to make sure we're checking And let's go here. And next thing we want to make sure is we toggle on Open Port 2.0 right here. We can see that's our cable that we're using. We can't use a 1.3 cable on a Evo 10, so we're using the 2.0 cable. Also down below here, we're checked on the CAN 2000 plus Evo 10 option. That way it's going to be logging and expecting the correct stream from our RBD2 port, and everything's going to work properly. Now the next thing we want to do here under Select ECU, we want to go make sure we have RAC's fast logging option that we're using. This allows us to log a lot of channels, log them very quickly, and have essentially better data capture. Now, if we look here in our channels list, the first thing is going to be wideband. We're going to check on that and learn how we can integrate the wideband here to our Evo Scan, so that when we're doing our tuning, we always have our wideband reading and registering properly. If we look down here, we have a lot of our basic data being streamed in here, so short and long-term fuel trims. We have load, we have our target air fuel. Looking down here is knock, RPM. If you look further down in my particular list, and this is going to be for my car, I have a bunch more channels added in here. I have knock.
Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here, and you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.